Oh, yeah. You're listening to the 70s Kiss podcast. And I'm your host, the Plaster Podcaster, Steve-O from Knoxville, Tennessee. This show is about Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Ace Frehley, and Peter Criss. If you're looking for something else, you can just keep on knocking. Yeah, we got Rich Kosak from the Kiss tribute band Mr. Speed on the line. How you doing, Rich?
I'm doing well, Steve. Thanks for the invite.
Hey, thanks for calling. Just want to ask you a little bit about your early days and the days in the 70s and stuff like that. I can see from your website that you're 48 years old, same age as me. And
I'm actually 50 years old, if you can believe that.
Wow.
My website's a little outdated, so I'm 2 years older than when we put that page together.
Wow, that's amazing. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's where I was born and raised, and born in 1964. I got into Kiss late 76, early 77, and basically when I saw the commercial for the Kiss radio on television, I was hooked. I wanted to know more about that, and ironically, there was a young kid who moved onto my street when I was growing up, and somehow or other I found out that he had a Kiss poster in his bedroom, so we became friends. I went to his house one day, saw the U.S. Tour 76 poster, and I just, after seeing that poster and then the commercial, I thought, what's going on here? Who is this band? So he had told me he had seen them in concert, and they were amazing, and that was pretty much where my fanaticism for Kiss started. I saw the first tour I ever saw was the Dynasty Tour, July 21st, 1979, with New England opening up, and to me that was just one of the most amazing things I'd ever seen. I love New England. That first album is great, and seeing Kiss for the first time and not really knowing what in the world I was in for, I was completely blown away. So that's how it all started for me. From then on, I couldn't get enough. I was buying magazines and records and anything and everything, posters that I could get my hands on with Kiss, and just it all started from there. So basically, my Kiss fanaticism started with a lousy television commercial for the Kiss radio.
So me as well. I mean, basically, I was in the alley and I heard a friend's older brother blasting Rock and Roll Over out the window. And I was like, what is that? And he was one of those cats that, was always yelling at us kids and stuff. So I ran up to the window and said, hey, can you tell me what that is? And he invited us up and showed us everything. But there's one thing I want to ask you, since you are from that time, and I've asked all Kiss fans that I've met about this, and nobody seems to know about it. And it's probably going to be one of the questions that I ask Peter Criss, if I ever meet Peter Criss. But there was a magazine came out at that time, and I think it was Cream magazine. I'm not exactly sure. It was something like Cream. It wasn't Hit Parader. And it had said that Peter Criss had died. And they were on this boat out in the harbor somewhere in New York, and that Peter Criss was going to dump the ashes of Peter Criss in the harbor. It was the new Peter Criss they were introducing, and his name was Peter Criss too.
I never heard that.
Oh man, it fried my brain as a kid. I was like, "What? There's a new Peter Criss, and the old one's dead, and his name is Peter Criss too." But I've asked every Kiss fan that's been kind of like me and you, over the years if they ever saw that magazine, and nobody has seen it. So that's one I've got for Peter coming up.
Wow, never heard that story.
Yeah. So you were one of those guys that collected the bubblegum cards and just anything and everything.
Yeah, I mean, with the limited source of income that I had as a 13, 14-year-old kid, I tried to get, as much Kiss memorabilia as I could. And at that time, it was pretty much in full force. I mean, you could go anywhere and everywhere. Spencer Gifts at the time was one of the only cool shops, where you could find Kiss posters and T-shirts and things like that. So I can remember walking into a Spencer Gifts and seeing the Ace Alive 2 stage shot poster. I can remember buying the original paperback, the original backpack. I never owned the original Mego dolls. I never owned the color forms or the trash can or anything like that. I was more or less interested in the posters. That was the thing. I bought every magazine that I could, and I still have every single one that I ever bought. They're all in plastic sleeves, and they're all in boxes, stored away. And I was the kind of kid who would, if I could, I would buy two, one to read and one just to save.
Yeah, one to like draw out of or trace on. I used to do that too. When the magazines came out, the comic books came out, I ran down drove my bicycle in the rain and bought 3 of them. I'd always buy like 2 or 3 of the books. One wasn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I saw on here also that you've seen Kiss 52 times in concert.
It's actually 58 now.
Oh my gosh.
I've been able to see them 58 times. And, early on when I was very young, the first Kiss concert I ever saw was $10.50.
Right.
Now I'm paying, over $100, $130, $150 to see them in concert. I'm spending money to go on the Kiss cruise. I get to see them twice on the Kiss cruise. So, it's crazy. When they did the reunion tour, I went and saw a whole bunch of shows. When they did the Lost Cities tour, I saw a few other cities on that tour, and in 1 week on the Psycho Circus tour, I saw Kiss 4 times in 7 days.
Wow.
So I had gone to Hamilton, Ontario, and was I was involved with the filming of Detroit Rock City. And then, the next night I saw them in Buffalo, and then I went to Columbus, and then I went to Cleveland, and then I went to Pittsburgh. It was, it was crazy. So I've only been fortunate enough to do that one time, but that's how, I was able to accumulate so many shows. And I think seeing them 58 times is quite a lot. And when I tell people that, they're kind of amazed by that. But I know there's people that have seen Kiss over 100, 200 times.
If I could have done that when I was a kid, dude, I'd have went every night.
Oh, I know. It would have been great to see them on a Dynasty tour, 3 or 4 times. But I was just glad that I got to see them once.
So how was your parents with all of this? I mean, how did they approach you with all of these magazines and posters and the big hysteria?
Oh, my parents were completely against it. My dad, I can remember my dad coming into my bedroom, and I had a fold-out poster from 16 magazine right by my doorway, and he reached over and acted as if he was going to grab it and just tear it off the wall. And my parents never got it. I don't think they really got it until about maybe 10 years ago, because as a result of Mr. Speed being around for 20 years now, I think they realized that this isn't just a fad with me, and that it's, I'm not going to cut my hair and I'm not going to grow up. So I think they finally, my parents are in their mid-80s, and I think they finally just decided, they've wasted enough energy trying to change me. But they're parents. They're not supposed to understand. It's supposed to,
right.
Piss them off and make them angry that I'm involved in stuff like that. But
well, they were probably hoping that you could do something with that. Go forward with whatever it is you want to do.
Well, the interesting thing about that statement is I have done. I mean, Mr. Speed has I've been able to take this band to places that I never thought I'd go, and I've been able to impact people's lives with this tribute band, which is really kind of amazing when I sit back and think about it. It's really kind of a cool story. There's been many fans that have come and gone. Some fans, they cross the line too much. They want to get too close. They want to get inside the inner circle of the band, and we can't allow that, because it's just like any other band. We're just on a much smaller level than Kiss.
Right.
But there are people that want to get too close. They want to feel like they're more involved, or they're a very, very important part of, what it is. And for us, we're the closest thing that a lot of fans are ever going to get to the real Kiss.
Right.
So they figure, hey, if they can latch on to somebody like us, then that's the next best thing. We've had fans along the way who have, they wanted to be friends with us, but when we figured out that they were only friends with us because we were a Kiss tribute band, it wasn't real for us anymore. We severed the relationship. We wanted to be friends. We didn't want to be just acquaintances and fake friends because we put on makeup.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you a little bit down the list. I was going to, ask you what it was like to be, in a tribute band, and did people treat you in a way kind of like you were Kiss,
Oh my God, yeah. People do and or say the most insane things to us when we're dressed up. It's almost like they get a hall pass to act like an idiot. And we've had some really. I mean, I've had people show up at my door, wearing Mr. Speed T-shirts, saying that they just happened to be driving by and they wanted to drop off a video that they shot at a show or something. Well, how in the world did you find out where I lived if you were just,
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
I mean, it's gotten to that point, and we over the years we've learned how to read people a lot more, and we're better at it now, and we know when someone's got good intentions and we know when someone doesn't.
Absolutely, and I've done myself. I've done 10 years on the road playing just in top 40 bands, rock and roll bands, and people just want to, they just want to know the band anyway. They just want to get next to the band any way they can. But I can only imagine what level that goes to if you're wearing Kiss makeup.
Well, they think they don't know how to separate reality from fantasy, and they don't know the real people. They don't know who we are. They just see the finished product. They don't see all the hard work that goes into it. They don't know the struggle, from day to day to keep a band going. They don't, we certainly don't let them in on the highs, and we certainly try to keep them, the lows private from everybody too, because we're not really into sharing our personal lives with people. Because it's not what it's about. We want people to be entertained. We want people to forget about, what it is that's bothering them. It's the same thing that we read, that we try to take from a Kiss show. We just do it on a much smaller level.
Right. Well, let me ask you this. What was it like the very first time you put the makeup on and had a packed show? I mean, where it was just crazy, crazy good.
Well, the very first show that we ever did was June 24th, 1994, at a small club in Pittsburgh. The club that we played at was actually one of the more famous clubs in Pittsburgh. And what I mean by that is a lot of bands that we know to this day that are still, making music and considered legends in the industry, like Bruce Springsteen, U2, Bon Jovi, Meatloaf, Joan Jett, bands like that. They all played this place on their first trips into Pittsburgh. And this place was a dump. I mean, ceilings were very low. The ceiling was actually covered by an old parachute. So, there was no doing pyro because the place would go up in flames if, and the ceiling was only about 8 or 9 feet above our heads. It wasn't very tall. So we put the makeup on. We never powdered the makeup. We really didn't know what we were doing. We were so green. And we came down through the kitchen and went onto the stage, and you couldn't put another person in that club with a shoehorn. They were standing on stage. There were so many people. And we made $150 at that first show, and there had to have been 250 people there easily. And I think they were charging $5 or $7 a person to get in. So do the math. We lost our shirt.
Well, speaking of clubs, there is a club in the Tri-Cities in Johnson City, not too far from Knoxville, called Capone's, which was actually the building where Al Capone had his office when they were doing all that gangster stuff down in Johnson City. They used to call it Little Chicago. Anyway, they've been having pretty big bands there, like Buck Cherry, some of these other bands, and you guys would be a great fit for that club. I don't think there's only been one tribute band played there that was a Kiss tribute, but they've had Zeppelin and several others, so that's one you may want to take in consideration. I'll pass you guys along to the owners. They're good friends of mine.
Well, that'd be great. It's interesting. There's so many places that we'd love to go and play, and places we've never even been to, and fans submit us emails through our website on a weekly basis saying, "Hey, play here," or "Hey, play there." But if there's no real desire by the venue to bring us in, or there's no money to pay the band, for us to come 6, 7, 8 hours to some venue, it's not financially viable for the venue. They're not going to make any money. They're going to pay us too much, and if the crowd doesn't draw, then they take it out on the band, and that's not fair. We don't live in Knoxville or Louisville or any other part of the country. We live in Cleveland, so we've got a little bit of a reputation here, and still there's so many people in Cleveland that don't even know we exist, and we've been here for like 13, 14 years, and it's just we go where people are sincere about wanting to have a good band. They want to have a good event, and playing a little smoky bar after doing this for 20 years, not really our cup of tea.
I understand.
If the money's there and they can get they can market it well and they can get a crowd and the people would enjoy the product, by all means, we'll do our best to show up.
Now, I know before the show, it takes a lot of time to get everything together, and I was just wondering, do you do the same thing that Kiss does with the makeup ritual?
Yeah, actually, that's very true. We do the same thing. We don't allow people in the dressing room prior to the show, and if they do come in, they knock first just to make sure that everybody's decent for one thing, or we're not talking about something or arguing about something or what have you. But normally, when we do the makeup ritual, I don't like talking to anybody. I like to be very quiet. I like to just do the task at hand and get ready for the show. The other 3 guys, they like to sit in there and they like to chat about anything and everything. And then usually whenever it comes time to, get ready for the show, they're running behind because they spend half the time sitting there, talking about this, that, or the other thing. But the guys, Joe and Andrew, they do a really great job with their makeup. Danny usually pulls up the rear with doing his makeup, and we do use it as quiet time. We do use it as putting our game faces on and getting ready for the show, because there is a little bit of a mystique that comes with putting on the makeup. And if you treat it with a little bit of reverence, which we do, we don't treat what we do as a joke. It's never been a joke. We're very serious about what we do. And we realize that because there's fans that are coming to see the show. Maybe they've seen us before, or maybe they haven't. But we want to make sure that we give them the best performance that we can. And if we're in bad moods, or we're at each other's throats or something like that, it doesn't serve anybody very well. So yeah, to answer your question, there is a ritual. We do like our own quiet time. We like it to be private, and then when we're done, we're ready to work.
What goes into a Kiss show? I know it's got to be expensive. Do you have several crew members? Kind of give the listener an idea what goes into a Mr. Speed show. Well,
I think, with our own financial means, none of us are well off financially. We all work during the week, so everybody has regular day jobs, and everything that you see is out of pocket. We have no sponsorship. We've never been sponsored or endorsed by anybody. So we've done this all from our own bank accounts and from our own hearts. So, the crew consists of my wife, Joe's wife, and we have a young boy whose name is Devin. He's 16 years old, and we're kind of, teaching him how to be involved with a band and learn the ropes, so to speak. And he travels to a lot of the shows with us, and he's basically a gopher or a runner, does the odd little things that we maybe won't have time for. And our setup is in the thousands of dollars. It's not cheap. We've invested quite a bit of money over the past 10 years trying to improve it. And you can't continue to just put the same thing out there. You have to make it better, from time to time, because if you're only playing the same market or area, the same people are coming to see you over and over again, they're going to get bored, and we get bored. That's why we try to play a lot of different songs. I respect Kiss's theory on performing live. They get a set list and they stick with it, and there's a reason why they do that, because once you get a routine, it makes everybody comfortable and everybody knows what to expect. But by the same token, we like to always look at it like, hey, maybe we should play Hard Times tonight, or maybe we should play Hooligan, and not do this and not do that. Because we really, if it's not fun for us, it's not going to be fun for the fans. And so we try to take that approach to it and make sure that if we're having a good time, we know the crowd is going to have a good time.
So explain what it's like to be voted the #1 Kiss tribute band in the world by the band Kiss, and talk about the competition, the Kiss Off competition and the cruise. Tell us how that happened.
Sure. The Kiss Off in 2012 was brought about because, Kiss was opening the Monster by Mini Golf in Las Vegas. So they were looking for some sort of hype to draw attention to that attraction, and they thought, hey, let's look for the world's best Kiss tribute band. So over 200 bands from all around the world entered the contest by submitting a video. And as I was told, Kiss and their management narrowed it down to the top 20. We made the top 20, and then from there, fans were able to vote over a 2-day period for their favorite band by viewing the videos, and you got one vote. And at the end of those 2 days, we made the final 4. So it was us and a band from Dallas, a band from Australia, and a band from Hungary. And all 4 bands flew to Las Vegas, and we competed in the basement of the Hard Rock Casino at a little club down there, and they put us on a really small stage. But the cool thing about that is you had to work for the title. It wasn't like you had all this pomp and circumstance. There were no pyro. There was no fire. There was no smoke. There were basic guitars, drums, and amps. There was a local Kiss tribute band there in Vegas lent their lighted Kiss sign, and that was basically it. So you had to get up on stage. You had the equivalent of either playing 4 songs or 20 minutes, whatever came first, to do your thing. And fortunately for us, the night before, all the bands met with the owners of the mini golf facility. A meeting was held. They drew names of the bands, and our band name was drawn first. So I got to choose which order we wanted to play, and I chose to play first because I wanted to set the bar, and I wanted all the other bands to have to beat us. And fortunately for us, at the end of that day, Tommy Thayer, judged us the winners, and I had asked him after the contest was over what gave us the advantage, and he said, you guys were a band. He said, you looked, sounded, and performed like a cohesive unit on stage. And that was the reason why I felt you guys deserved it. He said, you had that advantage over the other 3 bands. So, to our credit, great. We did our homework. We practiced really hard, and we won it from the time we heard about it. So until they have another competition, I'm keeping the title, knowing, it's still ours as far as I'm concerned. And, other Kiss tribute bands can run around saying that they're the greatest or the ultimate or whatever, but when Kiss was putting their name on something and they had a member of the band there judging it, Mr. Speed won.
I'll be honest with you. I've never been to see a tribute band, and if I ever can catch you guys out close, I'll go check it out because I saw some of the videos. It's really cool. You guys do a great job. But I've never went and seen a tribute band because I just kind of, I'm a guitar player, and I'm like, well, if I want to go see Kiss, man, I'll just go see Kiss, Mm-hmm. And the other problem that I have with it is I've seen so many tribute bands out there. Most of them don't even look like them, and it's not their fault. It's because of the shape of their face or their body or their hair or whatever. And then one of the most important things, they don't even sound like them. So, and there's a bunch of them out there, and I can understand why they're doing what they're doing, but how does it feel to be able to compete against something like that, and then just all of a sudden you have this title, #1 Kiss tribute in the world, voted by the band, and I think that's a title that you can keep regardless of who becomes the next one.
Well, yeah, no one will ever take it away from me. I mean, I know in my heart that whenever Kiss decided to finally do something like that and put their name on something, we're not officially endorsed by Kiss, and they've never sent me anything saying congratulations. But I know that when a member of the band was in the room watching us perform with the other 3 bands and had to make a decision, he decided that Mr. Speed was the best. So out of those 200 plus bands that entered the contest, my band was the the ultimate winner. And, the thing that I think is interesting is when Kiss decided to go and start mass marketing these Halloween costumes, they allowed every Tom, Dick, and Harry who thought that he could be in a Kiss tribute band, regardless of what he looks like, to put on a Halloween costume that doesn't quite fit properly and run around and call themselves a Kiss tribute band. And that's, I guess that's the one thing that I feel as though is a little bit of a joke, but because, we actually, as part of our winnings for that contest, they gave each one of us one of the Halloween costumes. Well, we turned around and sold them, because we get more, satisfaction out of making our own outfits and investing our own money and making sure that they're the way that we want them to look and they fit us properly and so on and so forth. So, I will never get on stage in a Halloween costume and call myself a Kiss tribute band. I just think that's being disrespectful to who Kiss is.
Yeah, I understand. So let's go a little different direction here. So that everything that's going on right now with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it has affected a lot of 70s Kiss fans. And, being in a band myself, and I know this, there's a lot of people can't get along. There's things that happen. There's people that do drugs. There's people that get drunk. You have to replace people. You have to keep the machine moving. I understand that. But as growing up the way that I did and had my favorite members, which were the original guys, and Ace Frehley was just like crazy to me, man. I couldn't imagine anybody else taking the place. And even when Eric Carr came in the situation, it took me a long time to just kind of go with that, because I was like, man, this is just not right. There's what's going on here? Because, of course, we didn't have any information in the 70s of what was really happening or how cool Eric Carr was or any of that stuff. But with everything that's going on, what is your feelings on the decisions that Kiss has made with the original members? One of the things that really got me is when they announced that they were going to let Peter and Ace be a part of it. They basically told them that, you guys can come up and you can get your award, and then you have to take a seat, and then the other two guys are going to wear your makeup and perform. And me being an old Kiss fan, it just rubbed me wrong. I mean, that's just me, my own feelings about it. It rubbed me wrong. I was like, why can't these guys just, take 20 minutes, let these guys go up and do their thing, honor the other guys, especially Eric Carr. I actually met Eric one time, real nice guy, one of the nicest musicians I've ever met. And, just do it the right way. What are your feelings on what happened and what's going on?
Well, having a band myself and being around for 20 years, I've had a lot of different guys come and go to my band. And if, let's just say hypothetically, my band was given some sort of award, like we entered the Tribute Band Hall of Fame or something like that, would I want to bring back guys who didn't necessarily, want to be a team player or weren't around, long enough or anything like that? I'd maybe want to acknowledge them, but I certainly wouldn't want to share the stage with them. It's just an interesting thing. I think Kiss did the right thing by saying, hey, we're not going to play. We can't make everybody happy, so we're just not going to do it. And it's unfortunate but it's just human nature. It's like, a family having, a family member that decides, hey, you pissed me off when you did this, so I'm not going to come to any family functions anymore, and so on and so forth. I respect Kiss's decision. I'm thankful that there's still a Kiss that we can go see in concert. Is the original lineup my favorite? Of course. It's what I grew up on. But by the same token, the other guys that have been in the band, Eric, Vinny, Mark, Bruce, all these guys, Tommy, Eric, these guys have all played a very, very vital role in my development as a person and as a, musician in a Kiss tribute band. So I am thankful for all of their contributions to the Kiss, world, I guess, if you will. I don't hold anything against anybody else, but if you ask me who's my favorite lineup, of course it's going to be the original lineup because that's what I first saw. That's where I got the excitement from. And I've been fortunate enough to meet everybody who's ever been in Kiss. and some of them many, many times. And fortunately, I think, for us, we should just be glad that KISS is still doing what they started out doing 40 years ago and enjoy it for what it is. If they choose not to perform, then let's just accept it. Be thankful that they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. As far as I'm concerned, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't validate me as a KISS fan, you as a KISS fan, or anybody else. I think the fact that we can still go see KISS and they put out records, that's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for me. It's not, a building here in Cleveland that you can go and see, some material or some records or some handwritten notes or something like that. It's, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, in my opinion, is still KISS touring. And, and whenever they decide to finally call it quits, there'll be a sad day for everybody. And we'll just have to, deal with that whenever we get to it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And I guess my main thing is, is just the respect of the whole idea of, them saying, okay, yeah, we're going to do this. And in my opinion, the early KISS is just like Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin didn't continue on. They could have with Jason Bonham, but they didn't. There was a reason for that, and the reason was it wasn't the same. Even though they had that new concert not too long ago on Access TV, which was really good, I enjoyed it. It wasn't John on the drums, and the chemistry was off a little bit. You could tell it, and plus, the guys have a little bit of age on them now, but. To me, KISS in the day was as big as Led Zeppelin. And for me, if you say Jimmy Page and John Bonham can't play, because, we got into it over, when I'm being a heroin addict or girlfriend or whatever, we know we're not seeing eye to eye anymore. It's just kind of, it's kind of ludicrous. Okay, I do think that it was a good idea that they went ahead and made a decision that nobody was going to play. You probably went on stage before with people that you didn't like, people that you were living with and you continued to live with for the next 2 years and had the same kind of issues. But when you hit the stage, there was a smile on your face, you went and did the gig. And that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. These guys were a big part of something that happened. And for them to say, you guys have to sit down and we're going to let these two guys, which are, great players or whatever, wear your makeup and play the gig, the end of the show, is kind of like a big slap in the face of those guys, because I've said this in the other podcast. The thing that gets me is, Ace and Peter, with all that past stuff and reading the books, you can find out what they did because they tell it up front, and I'm sure there's more. But in 1996, none of that mattered to Gene and Paul. It was like it just went away.
Well, there was a huge marketing and financial gain that they were going to, undertake there. That was
they're still doing it.
Yeah, they were able to put it aside, to be very successful and reignite the entire thing all over again, and probably even do more in '96 than they did, say, in '77.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad they did, because I didn't get to see KISS in the 70s. I didn't get to see KISS, the original KISS, until 1996, because I was in the same boat you were in with my parents, and they wouldn't let me, they would break my stuff and burn it and all that. I was lucky to have a KISS album, so I had to hide my stuff. And
I think what people need to remember about this whole thing, there was a point in time in KISS's career when the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame wasn't even in existence. No one cared. These guys were a band that started with a dream, and they took it as far as they could the first time around. And then, Ace and Peter decided, hey, it wasn't for them anymore, so they moved on. They made a decision to go and do their own thing, whether it was a solo career or what have you. That was their choice. Nobody said to them, hey, go do this. Go do Fraley's Comet, and you go do your Peter Criss thing. And I mean, obviously they weren't extremely successful outside of KISS. So the only time it ever really mattered was when they were in KISS, and then they got another opportunity to do that again, and then it fell apart again. And for whatever reason, it fell apart. But I think we will never know. We're not in KISS. We're not one of the four guys. And I think you, if you're a musician, and myself included, if we were given the opportunity to be in KISS and replace Ace or Peter doing whatever, you'd do it.
I'd do it, but it'd be weird. It'd be weird for me.
Then you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't sit there and say, well, I'm really upset about Tommy and Eric, but you know what? If they asked me to play guitar, yeah, I'd do it. But God, that would be weird.
I thought it would be great to bring you on and have your own perspective on this, about the 70s and about everything that's going on. I got one more question for you, and
sure.
Does all this drama, or anytime anything comes up big KISS, I don't know, like let's say like they're getting ready to start a tour, or the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame drama, does that increase your ticket sales? Does it help you guys, with your audience?
No, we're pretty much we're not even a blip on the worldwide scope of KISS and things like that. I mean, people know who we are. KISS is aware of who Mr. Speed is. Our bass player's wife, her uncle met Tommy at a fundraiser the other night, and he mentioned to Tommy that his niece, was married to the bass player, Mr. Speed, and Tommy had very nice things to say about our band. And that's all we can ask for, is that whenever they hear about Mr. Speed, they say, it's good things are said about us, because all I've ever really wanted was to be recognized by KISS as a legitimate tribute to them. And in about 5 weeks, we're going to Los Angeles, and we're going to perform on Access TV. And, people from all around the world, 40 million people, are going to be watching our band, for an hour on television perform. And, maybe the guys from KISS are going to sit there and watch us on television.
Absolutely.
And, so that'll be great, to hope that they'll get to see us, because, I just read on Twitter the other day that Paul Stanley, some guy asked Paul Stanley, what did you think about KISS tribute bands? This guy's gone out and seen a whole bunch, and there are some that are really good. And Paul's response was, I've never seen a good me. So I tweeted back to Paul, and I said, thanks for the motivation. Because my goal is to prove to Paul that I pay, tribute to him out of respect, and I do it from my heart. So I think it's everybody's, people don't want to see your own interpretation of who KISS is. They want to go and they want to see what they know as KISS. And it's my job to get up there and do the best I can. And I try and combine Paul's entire career, not just one particular era, in my performance. And, I'm not him, so I'm not going to be able to nail it, but I'm going to do the best I can with my own abilities. And like I said, do it from my heart.
Well, I think you guys do a great job. I've looked at some of the videos and the music, and you do a great job, and a lot of bands out there can't say that. So, congratulations with everything that's happened for you guys. I envy that, and hope you guys success in the future. Rich, go ahead and explain how the listeners can connect with the band on the internet.
Absolutely. You can learn everything and anything about Mr. Speed on www.mrspeedonline.com. We've also got our own app, which is only available for the iPhone users. We've got a Twitter page. We've got a Facebook page. We've got, anything and everything that you could want. Go to www.mrspeedonline.com. And on April 21st, check us out on Access TV, live from the Whiskey A Go-Go in West Hollywood, California on the Sunset Strip. And we'll be playing, I think it's probably 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So if you can't stay up that late, if it's past your bedtime, tuck yourself in and set your DVRs.
Cool. Well, thanks, Rich. Thanks for giving us the time and letting everybody out there in internet world hear what you had to say. And we'll see you next time.
I appreciate it, Steve. Thank you.
So that's a wrap. Well, that's it, folks. Until next time, this is the Plaster Podcaster saying, I'm out.